Sally, let's start this week with a question a lot of parents still have. Will athletics and activities be allowed to operate if your district is remote all year?
And that will be a school district decision. There are some school districts that are remote. There are some that are going to be in hybrid. There are some that are going to be totally in person. So it will depend on what the superintendents would like in their school districts to do with athletics and activities.
While we wait for fall sports to officially start in just a couple weeks, how can kids get involved in activities? And what sort of activities are out there to stay engaged? Are all activities a go?
All activities are a go. We had a meeting on Friday with the activities directors, all the sponsors, and our activity liaisons, and every single activity has planned something, and the majority of them are virtually. The only ones who are not virtual are junior ROTC and bowling. At this time, the bowling alleys are not open, so we're not able to do bowling. And junior ROTC they are going to do virtual competitions. They're not going to be traveling, but they will be in person with the 5-to-1 pods using their own equipment. But all activities are planning to have some type of competition, state competitions throughout the year.
Are middle school athletics and activities following the same guidelines?
You know, I had that question this morning. Somebody said, well, we never talk about middle school. Well, the reason we don't really spell out middle school is because middle school is going to follow the exact same thing as high school. So anything, when we talk about the calendar is for all middle school and high school athletics, and they will work with the same calendar time frame. The only difference is when we get to the playoffs for the high schools, that is when the middle schools and the sub-varsities will stop their competitions.
Since announcing powerlifting last week, what sort of response have you been getting from schools?
That has been a wonderful response, and it is so neat to see the excitement, just to know that even a competition virtually is everybody's excited about. And so we are really looking forward to powerlifting. We will start that on October 5th, and we will have the virtual competitions at the beginning of each month, and we will end with a kind of like a state championship at the beginning of February. What that will look like, JP, we don't know, because we don't know where we're going to be at when it comes to COVID-19 and the guidelines. However, we will start powerlifting, and we are looking hopefully that the board of directors this week will sanction it as a competition and activity here for the next school year.
With the shift in the athletics calendar, how is one athlete going to compete in two sports that may overlap?
And it was, we just saw a tweet that came out, and it was Cleveland High School, and how the football coach and the basketball coach are going to work together that those athletes can play both sports simultaneously. And if Cleveland High School, one of our largest high schools in the state, can do that, then everybody can do it throughout the state of New Mexico. And so we have talked to coaches, we have talked to our athletic directors. We need to make sure that all our athletes are able to play multiple sports. There's going to be times throughout this year that there's going to be two sports at one time. Let's make it work for the athletes so they do not have to choose one sport over the other.
We are just a couple weeks away from the official start of fall sports. What's the most important reminder for coaches and student athletes at this point?
I think the most important reminder, first off, right now we are back in the classroom. You know, what's a classroom? It's remote right now. However, grades matter. And the most important thing that I think the student athletes can look at is not when are we going to get to start practice, but they need to look at daily that these grades, 6 weeks and 9 weeks grades, are going to count for scholastic eligibility. There is not going to be a clean slate at the 6 weeks and the 9 weeks. So our student athletes need to get going and get their grades and make sure that they have all passing grades. That's first and foremost. Secondly, we need to remember that we are in school, we are education-based athletics. Sure, we talk about how are we going to get to the playoffs or what are the playoffs going to look like, but JP, the most important part right now is the emotional well-being of our student athletes. We need to make sure that we teach them lifelong skills through what's going on right now. And as we move towards beginning to start, and it's getting a little bit exciting because the time is coming, but again, scholastic, mental, emotional well-being, and we can do that because we are going to play again, New Mexico.